It could be said that the stories of the last several days have been pointing to what could be called the power of three. And as was said the other day, we know and have experienced that when our body, our mind and our spirit or soul are in alignment, that we're in a state of harmony. And we also have experienced that when the three levels of existence that cause and effect, duality, intuition and interrelatedness, come together, we're living in a state of what is called Satchitananda, or existence, knowledge and bliss. And we can also know or ask the question, when we are in alignment and in harmony, what are we in harmony with? Or when we come to that state of Satchitananda and we live what is called the divine life, that there's still something more. The other day, just looking at one of those little clips on YouTube, there was a little experiment going on where they took a bottle and they put in it Coca-Cola and then they put in milk and then they shook it up and it completely changed its composition. So we know that three things were necessary there: the bottle, the Coca-Cola and the milk. But we could ask the question, why did they, who wanted to make this experiment? What was the reason for it? What was it that was beyond this? So let's see what happens. Looking at this chemical reaction thing, what happens for us when we put three simple anecdotes together. Now, first of all, there's that story about the Zen master who was invited to a Christian monastery to discuss with the acolytes there their different faiths. And in their little forum, one of the priests got up and said, well, you know that it is our practice every day to pray to God, to importune God for liberation. And the Zen master replied, oh, well, that's a little different for us, because in our faith we already believe that God has done the work. So then there was another Zen monk, an old man who'd been in his monastery for many decades, and he was invited to a local girls' school to give them instruction. And he found that very often the discussion that was brought up was about love. So he spoke to these young girls and he said, well, too much of anything, like too much of anger will make us reckless and perhaps tip our fate on the battlefield. If we have too much religious ardor, it leads to fanaticism, which is quite deadly in its own right. And too much passion leads us to delusion of our beloved and always ends in disappointment. He said, in fact, too much love is like licking honey from the tip of a knife. So the young girl said to him, well, look at you, you've been a monk for so many years and you're celibate. How do you know about love and passion? And the old monk said, Well, maybe I'll tell you one day why I became a monk. And the third story, the story about a fly watching a moth fly around a candle flame. And the fly said to the monk, "You better be careful, because you get too close to that flame, it's going to kill you." And the moth, as was flying around the flame, said, "Who are you to talk? You're addicted to the smell of turds." And the fly continued to say to the moth, "Well, you know, too much of anything will destroy you." And the moth said, "How could anything so delicious and transcendental be deadly?" And the fly remained silent as he watched his little friend fly close to the flame and go fit. Three anecdotes. What do they evoke for us? What happens? What is happening as this chemistry mixes together? Perhaps not immediately, but certainly without question, bringing about a chemical reaction. What, if anything, does it bring up for you at this moment? Recognizing that we have to utilize those attributes of our being to be able to bring forth an answer. What does the chemistry of these three seemingly different anecdotes bring up for you? So in this way, we're exploring the power of three. We know the superstitions. We know when two things happen to us, you think, "Oh, there's got to be a third before it's finished." Or we know when we've had three things happen, we think, "Oh yeah, now it's done," isn't it? Our superstitions tell us this, and we know all those other threes. But how does it work for us? what is this power of three? Three, anything. So perhaps we'll continue to explore this over the coming days. But in the meantime, be aware, be alert. And experience the meaning of threes in our moment-to-moment life. Because what does three mean for us? What do we mean when those three things that have happened, maybe not good things, with, oh thank goodness, now that's finished.
Like a completion, that's...
You bet. Completions, 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 completions. The power of three. Watch it in your life and see how it works. And be careful, be alert. Don't have any unfinished business. Hear what's being said here? Be alert, be aware. Completions. Power of three.